Okay, so here we go. We are cooking tonight gnocchi, and it's pan fried with mushrooms, and they're porcini mushrooms which are dried, and they've come from here, and there are 30 grams in this packet, and we use 10 grams here. So we put 10 grams into this bowl here, and then we put 300 millilitres of grams of hot water, and we're just letting them hydrate. Thank you very much, Kerry, for ringing me. And into this pan here, a couple of tablespoons of oil, if we're honest, and then these mushrooms. These are chestnut mushrooms, 125 grams of chestnut mushrooms. And then what we're doing now is just dicing some onion to go in to this, and dice it quite small so that it cooks a little bit more quickly. Now these mushrooms are just losing a little bit of moisture, and they should be becoming golden colour on them, and that's happening now. Let's just show you. So they're wilting down slightly, they've got some colour on them, and that is the point. Yes, because they've been on for about 5 minutes now. That is the point that we need to put this onion in. Okay. So let's just get that heat back on now that we've got some sound. Do definitely need a producer. I'm doing the best I can, but sorry about that, anybody. And well done, Kerry, for ringing. Let's just put a bit of salt in there and bring that up and get that water moving out of that onion. You see me just put a bit more oil in there. Just looking a little bit dry. Don't be afraid of putting a bit more oil in. And yeah, so, okay, so veloute means velvet. So that gives you a guidance for what we're trying to do with this veloute. We are trying to make it absolutely golden and velvety and luxurious, and it's everything that you want when you sit down and eat what is now a restaurant dish. It is a restaurant dish. This is not just ordinary food, but as I'm showing you, it's very, very easy. So, okay, we've got the onion gone in. Quickly putting a little bit of garlic in there into the pan. And when we start getting a little bit of colour onto these onions, and they start going ever so slightly translucent, then what we're going to do is add a teaspoon of tomato puree. So I've got the end of a tomato puree going on there. Okay, so let's just recap. We've got our porcini mushrooms. These are rehydrating in 300 grams of water. They are going to be the basis of the sauce. Okay, we have got onions, mushrooms and garlic in oil, and soon to be tomato puree cooking through here. Now then, what we're going to do is to put that product there and this product here and a few other bits into here to blend, and it needs to blend for a good 5 to 8 minutes. So here's one I did earlier, so I'll show you now. So these products here become this. This is your finished veloute. This was left over from last night. So can you see, it's just perfect, it's shiny, it's really, you know, you like a shine, you like a gloss on your food, and it's very smooth, and that's it cold. So I saved that last night so that I could use it tonight. The one I'm going to blend, that I'm making now, and I'm going to blend after this, that will be used for me at the weekend, maybe. So yeah, okay. So just move these things around. So get into the habit when you're cooking, if you can, of doing this whole tossing around motion. It's quite straightforward, and it really helps mix things through quickly. And my advice for you is if you can't do it, just do it like basically just get that movement first, and then slowly just start moving things around. That's a bit harder. It's a bit easier with the bigger pan we're doing next. Okay, so we're now going to put about a teaspoon of tomato puree in there. I will just stir that through because there's not very much of it. And then we're going to cook the tomato puree. and it goes a little bit of a different colour. The red disappears, it goes darker, but it basically disappears. And you're looking for a caramelised look in here. Now, let's just think about it. So this has to be cooked enough to be cooked when it's blended. You know, there's no more cooking going on after this. So do make sure that you take enough time. I mean, in a way, I want to speed this through, but this is your process. You know, this is what makes the difference, because you're allowing the sugar in the onion to caramelise. It's being helped along a little bit by the tomato puree sugar as well, you know, these natural sugars. So do give it enough time. TLC this one through if you can. I'm just making sure that I've got enough time to do what I need to do. Okay, so we'll just leave that another couple of minutes, and let me just get my little sieve. Okay, so what you want to do with this is, just be aware of that handle being in the way. You want to just make sure that these mushrooms are actually properly rehydrated, okay? And you can feel them. Break them up a bit, just double check. These are all feeling quite good. And yes, the water is a little hot, but it's not that bad because they're floating. Okay, so that's all right. So I'm just actually going to get those out of here. Now, what I'm trying to get you to avoid, what I'm trying to avoid, is the grit. So sometimes there's a little bit of grit in these mushrooms. I don't care what anybody says. What I read often on a recipe now is all of that just goes in there and it's all fine. Well, no, not really. I don't find that to be fine at all, because I've had grit with that method. So you've got to pick things out and be trying to leave any grit behind. I can feel the grit in the bottom. I mean, I went online and I had a look at quite a few recipes that were using these sorts of dried mushrooms. They were all just saying chuck it all in. And it's like, why are you doing that? Right, so I know I've got everything else out now. And then that's good now. So those onions are going translucent. And then I'm just going to pour. So that's all the stuff that's left. You don't want that. So do that if you can. Helps if I get that on the heat, isn't it? Right, okay, so now let's just think. We need to put a teaspoon of miso paste into this gorgeous umami of miso. What on earth is that? That's a teaspoon of that gone in now. What else do I need to do? A teaspoon of soy sauce. So that's gone in. Let's just think. We need to put a little bit of lemon, a teaspoon of lemon. That'll do that. And then we need to put 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Now, I tried it without that extra salt, but no. Right, that's good now. So this is really good. It's caramelised, it's toasted, it's got some colour, it's wilted down, it's yum. This now will work really well with everything that I've got in here. And the next thing we need to do is add 125 ml of wine. So that is your classic deglazing a pan. So when everything is cooked through well and you're confident that you've got some caramelisation onto the onion, mushroom, garlic mix, you deglaze. So you throw that wine in and you allow the wine liquid to go. It evaporates and you're left with very, very soft mushrooms, onions and garlic, which have been caramelised, so they're nicely flavoured. And then you've got the wine flavour, but you haven't got the wine liquid. So that's what we're doing now. We're just going to evaporate that. It doesn't actually take very long. So the next thing is cooking gnocchi. Right, okay, so gnocchi, there's all sorts of stuff that you can get. The best is, of course, homemade, and you can make a gluten-free one because it's mashed potato with a bit of flour in at the end of the day, an egg. But you can take the egg out, and I don't really miss that. The plain flour could, you know, obviously got gluten in, but you can use other flours as well. So, you know, that's all fine, and definitely worth making. But when you're starting off, don't put that on yourself. Use a shop bought one. This is from Morrison's. And this is bag, it's 500 grams. For 2 people, I'm suggesting that you use half a bag because, to be honest, it's just enough. We're going to bring this water up to the boil. I put some salt in because that sort of speeds it up apart from everything else, but also it just gives it a little bit of salt. And I don't know whether you've actually cooked with gnocchi before. Things that can go wrong is it can get stuck together. So try to make sure before it goes into the water that it isn't stuck together. When you tip it into a sieve when it's been boiled, and then if you leave it in the sieve, it can stick together. So we're going to tip it out onto a plate. What else can go wrong with gnocchi? I think actually you can have too much of it, or you can just simply boil it, put it on a plate, and then somehow expect that that's going to be all right. With a regular sauce. I don't think it is. I think the way that we're doing it tonight, pan frying it, is the way to go. I really do. So we've got a boil now on this, and let's just get my rubbish moving through. So as soon as you put it in, look, check that nothing's stuck together. Get a pan lid on it. Move that around, get a pan lid on it, and it takes a couple of minutes, and it just comes to the top, and when it's at the top, we're done. Okay, so we're done. Just thinking straight now. Got that, got that, got that. That's all good. So this wine has gone away now, and I want you to see in the pan. So I'm going to move this into my position here. So can you see that looks really, really glossy and rich? I mean, that on toast would be absolutely delicious. Plus, can you see the colour similar to that one that I did yesterday, which was, I think, probably cooked a little bit more slowly. So that's fine. Most of that liquid has gone. We're going to be able to see, let me just check. Yeah, we're going to be able to see these gnocchi coming up to the boil now. Oh, we'll just wait for that. Just draining my peas. We've got peas going into this dish. A little pop of protein is good. And you see those gnocchi coming up now. So I've got my plate, and I'm going to put the gnocchi onto the plate when I put it into the sieve. Now then, this is done here. So we can knock that heat off there. And I'm simply going to put that into the food processor. So that's all I've done with that. I know I've probably gone slightly off camera with that, but that's what's happened with that. And so in here now you can see we've got everything that we need, and I'm just going to blend that down, and what happens with that is that magically it becomes this. But this is half, actually, of this. But I'm not going to put the blender on now because, my goodness, we don't want that noise. Right, okay, so can you see this gnocchi? So if you've never cooked gnocchi before, you know, this is the moment where you might, I'm just checking. this is the moment where you might go, well, I'm just going to check it's cooked. You don't really need to. You'll just burn your mouth. So don't bother, it's done. Right, we're going to sieve it. So I'm just sieving it off camera. I've just actually thrown the water into the dirty pan, so that's helping that on the way, keeping myself straight. Okay, and then I found that the best way for this is to just put it here. That there is what you want. You don't want, yeah, no, you don't, I mean, you don't want it sticking together, so that's the way. Okay, good. Right, so I'm moving those off camera because coming in is the next stage. We're going to pan fry this gnocchi now, and we're going to use a couple of tablespoons of this flora. Look at that. Now, would you believe it? I couldn't get flora butter anywhere yesterday that I went. Got quite frustrated in the end. Kendall was gridlocked yesterday. There was obviously something happening. Right, okay, so I'm just checking I've got everything in. Right, I should just say, when you've blended the sauce, we're just waiting for this to melt down. When you've blended the sauce, what you want to do is you want to add some dried tarragon. Dried tarragon, a teaspoon of. Absolutely amazing. I didn't force you to go out and get fresh. Tarragon, yum, yum, yum. And it really adds something, but it has to be added to the sauce when it's finished so that it doesn't get blended and go into tiny bits. You want to feel this tarragon in your mouth. It's that size, okay? So that's what we need to do. So that's that. Right, so we've got another 125 grams of mushrooms going on. So your average chestnut mushrooms, 250 grams. We're going to just pan fry the gnocchi, but we're chopping up the mushrooms as we just wait for that fat to heat. And you can see it's just bubbling through, melting through. So when you're chopping your mushrooms, just think about what you're eating later. You know, you want everything to be a regular size. A, because it's good for cooking, but B, because actually you just want it to look nice. So there's quite a lot of butter in there. And we're going to put this gnocchi in. And we're just going to move it around. The bit of those little black marks are pepper actually. And then you do your chefing manoeuvre. There's a bit of pepper in my salt there. And then you whack that up a little bit and you let it cook. So I've got my mushrooms ready. We're also going to have a slice of garlic. Slices of garlic. So this is nice now. These gnocchi are going to get a bit firmer on the outside and not be just blobs of mush. I'm cutting this clove into nice thin slices because these slices aren't going to be in the pan for very long. So get them really thin. So that's already there. Let's get rid of that bad boy there. And then peas are going to come into play. And let's get these moving out. That's all good. And then also we've got some breadcrumbs actually here on the top, to put on the top, which I made yesterday. I've added it to the recipe. So yes, let me just check, yes. So what we do, we take some stale bread and we put some oil in here, and then in the blender we put some stale bread plus the sunflower seeds plus some pumpkin seeds plus some garlic powder, and then we fry. So that's all it is, and it's really great. It's a really lovely aromatic thing to put on the top of this dish, and it adds a really nice layer of texture. I taste this dish with and without, and no, it's all really good. So make some of this. Okay, so let's have a look. So you can see, I'm just going to turn this up a bit so we finish vaguely on time, but there was a bit of a near miss, wasn't there, with me again on the sound this time. Good, right, okay, so that's okay. We're going to just going to put our chestnut mushrooms in there, pan fry those. Heats up nice, just moving things away, getting things away. Yep, that's all good. We're going to put some lemon on, we're going to put lemon zest. So you can see actually at some point it's just done it right. So everything just dries out a little bit. So I think the water from the fat just starts drying. And then you start hearing something different. It starts, because these gnocchi are getting toasty and crispy on the outside, it starts sounding different. So that there is not as good as, say, that there. That's quite hard actually to the touch, that one. Whereas, and so's that, but that's all quite flabby. So you don't want flab. So, you know, keep cooking it. Keep cooking it. I've got this garlic ready to go as well. And we've got some thyme here. So we're going to put thyme through it, because then it wilts. And that's very nice. And then we're going to dress the top as well with a little bit of thyme. Over here, I'm just going to get that sauce ready. We're approaching. I think gnocchi is originates from the Roman for knuckle. I think that's what Wikipedia said. I'll put a bit more of that background info on the recipe. So we've got that now warming up. It's all going to go in here. Time to put this garlic in. Why do I know it's the time? Okay, so I can see that the gnocchi is really getting some nice colour there. And I can see it and I can feel it. But I've cooked this dish a fair few times. I do another one with walnuts and stuff. So I do, you know, I've got a bit of experience. So I know that these garlic slivers will only want a couple of minutes, absolute max, at this heat. And this amazing aroma. Look at this dish coming together in front of your eyes. Now, what is hard about that? Peas in. Whoop, I think 2 peas on the floor for Georgia. So I'm just going to put some of this thyme in there now. I actually challenged somebody to tell me that they can't do this, because I will march around to the house wherever they are and tell them that we're going to cook it now. Everyone can do this. They might not be able to come up with a recipe in the first place, but they can do it. So this is nice now. That's come really smooth and silky, can you see? Sorry, this has just gone a bit over. I'm chucking my peas around tonight, aren't I? Yes, I am, Julia. Right, okay, so let's just get all this heat off. Now, if thyme wasn't a bit of a thing now, I would cook that. Well, I am. I'm just going to cook that for another couple of minutes, because I like things quite nicely toasty. I mean, I don't alter the colour in my photographs, and it's because I like things nicely done. So we need to spoon the veloute into the bowl. Carefully does it. It's gorgeous, it's precious, it's luxurious. This is real food, so steady on with it. So I've done enough gnocchi for 2 portions. That's what the recipe does. But I've just obviously got the one sauce left over from yesterday. Right, good. That will just put a bit more colour on that. That's good. So you can see the colour. Just want to spread that out a little bit more. Right. Just missing a spoon. Just bear with me a minute. So you're placing and allowing things to tumble, and then don't be afraid to, I mean, you could divide the gnocchi up in half and go, right, that's for me, that's for my partner, whatever you're going to do. Let's just have a few more peas scattered. So I've picked these leaves before, so plenty of time. This is where I need my glasses on. Can't see a thing really. Ah, oh gosh, okay, now we've got some focus. Okay, so let's, that's it, put this spoon out earlier. Okay, so let's just get a bit of that. I'm not sure I'm not in the way. So this is the breadcrumbs. Did a very good job there. So critical of myself. Right, okay, so that's that. And then the final must, absolutely must, is to grate some lemon zest over this. Whoop. Good, okay. And sea salt's needed, bit of pepper, and that, my good friends, is done. Now I want to fiddle because I don't like those peas there. I want those peas spread out a bit, and now I just want to just put one of those there. But actually, broadly, I'm quite happy with that, considering I've just done that under quite a lot of pressure. I think my dog's just about to get home as well, so it's all just, everything's happening at once. I've got Airbnb guests coming and going, so we'll see how that looks. And I think that looks all right, Julia. So I think that you can do this. Yes, and just a little clean of the bowl, and there we go. Now then, let's just have a look. Yes, you can see it. Good. Okay, so let's just have a look. This is pan-fried gnocchi on mushroom veloute, made with porcini mushrooms and also chestnut mushrooms. And then we've got thyme there, we've got some peas, and we've also got some breadcrumbs on the top, and some fresh thyme and lemon zest finally to get some lemon oils in there. That is fresh and zesty, and thyme and lemon are perfect. They have been made to be together, so good.